the next thing I want to do is a cylinder, and then I want to kitbash this guy together, and then you know, we'll experiment, see what happens with the other tools, and then we get about the day. So here we go, poly mesh, and everything you're seeing me do now, this is all what you should be doing for homework, basically. I'm going to go in. Okay. What I really want you guys to do is just create a mech character, something crazy. Just don't worry about making them perfect and awesome. If you can, that's great. But I want this to be a low entry point so that you're more focused on the actual tools, not on the artwork per se. I'm going to turn symmetry on and start to skew that. It doesn't like to get skewed. Okay. I'm going to divide this guy. Symmetry is off. Let's slice him. Slice curve. Cool. Okay. Let's turn double on. Okay, I do not want an open form. So let's solve this first. Let's delete hidden. Basically what I'm trying to do is, using these real simple tools, I'm trying to create some pattern like this guy. But you saw one of the problems we had last time is you can't have open curves that extend all the way around, because curve bridge is not really set up for that. So we're going to trick it. We're going to tell it to curve bridge here and here, and then we're going to use trim curve later to just cut off the bottom and see if that works. So delete hidden. Oh, nice. We may not have had a problem. Whoa, with symmetry on? Yes. Okay. Now delete those curves. Stroke, delete. Okay. So now let's try trim. And there we go. Let me stop for a second. I did a bunch of different things. We're starting to kind of get, I'm starting to get free form with the way this works. So if you've got questions about what I just did, let's take 2 seconds and make sure they're answered. You can also see I'm cutting off stuff. So I'm getting rid of bevels. As much as possible. No questions on the quests. How would I later create the bevels? So for example, this is a real soft or real hard edge. So what I'm relying on is that I'm going to divide this. Not only that, but also when we get into ZBrush, I'm relying on that kind of automatically smoothing this. And so that answers the question too, Kathleen. I'm relying on smooth to rebevel those edges. That done and said, I mean, there is another way too. That's a bevel. That's a nice little bevel. And that's a little bevel. Got to work that edge a little bit. But there are some ways. Does that answer your guys' question about bevels? Daniel saying something about use trim. I think I was using trim. Maybe you meant maybe you meant clip. Slice? Well, you can use slice if you want. You guys want me to see slice just to so you have a sense of context? So slice, again, all that's doing is slicing and separating polygroups. So we used slice already. But for the bevel, if you were thinking that, you could use slice to give yourself a little bevel, and then you could use this, like let's unify these groups. So it's an extra step. I could unify this, and then when I come into deformation, polish by feature, then that bevel retains itself a little. So Kathleen, if you were saying that slice is another way to do bevel, then definitely. But you have that added step. Okay. All right. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, I'm going to undo that so I don't have any extra complications I wasn't thinking about. Okay, good. And let's undo that. Okay. Keep it real simple. All righty. Now, same thing. Duplicate. Let's see, can we trim? Why don't we try like just trimming circle? And get some crazy shapes out of that. Let's trim rectangle. That's going to be a useful shape somewhere. I don't know where. Let's go and cut that out. Okay, duplicate. Yeah, duplicate. Remember, there's ways for us to deal with this, but I'm crushing through this as quickly as I can because I want to start to get into the assembly mode. Let's delete that extra subtool I just made, and then duplicate that guy. Boom, boom. And let's use trim curve. Control Shift. Trim. Well, let's try lasso. I haven't tried that one before. I have no idea if that'll be useful, but now trim curve. And one more. One more, I promise. But I'm going to work this one more. Okay. All right, we're done. So this is a little bit of a meandering section, this part where what I did was create a bunch of variations for the cylindrical parts and the arm and this little kind of rectangular piece. Just created a bunch of variations and just really worked it a little bit. Now I would keep going with this for quite a while, creating a bunch of different parts and pieces, because our next phase is the kitbash, and we have no idea how useful any of these will be. These could be 100% just useless to us. So we are at our next phase, if I'm going to say this correctly, our next phase is really just to start to experiment with this. If you saw the hair sculpting video I did a while ago, you'll have seen that I created a whole bunch of variations for hair, and I really used 2 or 3 max. And that's exactly what we need to find out here. We're going to start kit bashing this guy together using insert mesh brushes. So we're going to find out what works. All right, I'm checking in with you guys questions-wise, and then I'm going to move on to starting to create this mech guy. Johannes, can we make a trim that conforms more to the trim shape? And by that I assume you mean you don't want that kind of, that beveled form. You can, you can, but not using trim. You got to use other methods. The softening of the edge is endemic to trim. They will most likely fix that though. The response that I got from them was that it's something they would like to change. AUI, the language of space. I'll be looking at that, Michael. Aaron, when you're trimming, in what situation does it require curve bridge to close things up, and when does it automatically close up like it is right now? Aaron, trim is going to close. Trim is going to close everything when you're off the model, like when you cut from one end to another, or if you have a circle that comes around and cuts off a section, then it will remove this piece and patch up the edge. But if you don't, like if it just cuts like that, if it just goes from one part to the inside, or if it just stays inside, then trim will not cut. It will not remove those pieces. It will just simply create a poly group. So you saw that with the Gatling gun, but I'll demonstrate that one more time. There you go. So this was completely contained within the shell of the model. So totally different ballgame. Okay, looking at this again. Trim curve is a 4R6, yes. And Kathleen, you guessed it, I am going to make insert multi-mesh out of all these crazy parts. IMM brush. Vincent, I would love to make the hair video downloadable. Piracy is taking its toll. Some guys out there are all up in our business. Downloads are a little questionable. Aaron, you're welcome. Pedro, thanks. And all right, let's get moving on.